Hello, my friend, is all I can say right now because I only see one comment out there, Rod Wintler. Hopefully this thing's working. I don't know. Hello, my friends. Jerry Rosa here from the Rosa String Works Man Cave. I hope there's somebody out there. My goodness. I only see one comment, and that's very unusual. Usually I'm seeing like 20, 30 comments by now. And that's a shame because I thought I had a really good video for you guys today with the retaining wall. I'm really floored. This is the first time it's ever happened like this. Well, I see now it says 62 viewers, and there's a few more comments popping in. I guess that we're going like normal, but it sure doesn't look like normal. Anyway, let me just say that yesterday afternoon I said that I would possibly start on that wall. Well, I went out and got everything ready for the wall. In other words, I went out and just kind of did site preparation. Well, this morning I actually started laying the block, and I have a video on that. And Rod Wintler says, Jerry, we had a full house and they all went away. We are up. I made 3 or 4 myself. We're here, Jerry. All right. Well, I'm going to keep carrying on. It really looks weird. It's a completely different look than it normally looks from my side. But anyway, I just hope everybody's here. There's 76 viewers now, it says. So here's the video. This is a fairly long video. It's about 11 or 12 minutes. And I didn't have time to edit it very much. I tried to speed through parts of it. It was a very long video. It would have been probably a couple hours worth, but because of these huge files and how slow it was to copy and et cetera, and I worked until 11:15 out there on the wall, so it is what it is. You know, this is the best I could do in short notice. So, but it does kind of tell the story. It starts off with me just getting the site prep, and then it gets into me starting to lay the block, and then it shows the final product. So here we go. Okay, I'm going to go get a hand shovel and I'm going to shovel this out, clean it out. I'm also going to get a level, laser level, and level this, make sure we're level here. And you know, I just want to get it cleaned up and dried up for tomorrow morning when I can start laying block. So just get it ready tonight and do the block laying in the morning when I like to do the heavy duty work. Got the old Harbor Freight plate compactor out. My level here, this is my standard here. That's pretty close. Little high there. We need to go down here. Need to go down a little bit here. That's about right. It needs to go up a little bit here. It's just a little bit off. It needs to go up here. That's right on the money or close. Real close. It seems like they need to go up a little bit, but they're real close. So I don't know, I may just get some gravel and throw it in there by hand in places and pack it and try to level it out as best I can. You know, the closer I can get it, the better the wall will be, but I always level the wall as I go anyway, block by block. But the point is, you want to get it close. I've already laid 2 blocks. I'm gonna do some more. Well, my friends, it's 11:15, and we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, probably 6 more capstones, and we're done. We're out of capstones, so it just is what it is. I laid all those block up this morning, and you can probably kind of tell where the old block was, and I even laid a couple blocks on top of this stuff here to raise this up and bring it all the way around. And the time we get the capstones on this, it's going to look pretty close to grade all the way, I think. And it just worked out where we had just enough block. I had just about 2 full pallets of block. I forget how many's on a pallet. I think 36 or 38. I can't remember. Anyway, I laid 2 of those, and that's a lot of laying. And even those capstones, there's about 14 of those, I guess, and they're heavy too. They probably weigh at least 50 pounds, and the bigger blocks weigh, I bet you they weigh 75 pounds probably. I'll have to look on their website and see. But anyway, it worked out real good. We got the creek backfill in here, so all this creek gravel's in here, and that stuff is good for a lot of reasons. It gets into every nook and cranny because it's got a lot of sand in it, and it's very strong. It doesn't move. It just kind of sits where it is, and yet water can go penetrate down through it and escape. So it's not going to build up a big ice block behind it or anything like that. It should really make a very good wall. Very happy to have that part done. Well, with the exception of about a half a dozen capstones. Boy, that was a fun project for this morning. Now what do I do for this afternoon? Yeah, so it took me about 2 hours yesterday afternoon to get the site ready, and then it took me about 3 hours this morning to lay all the block. So about 5 hours work, and that's with absolutely 0 breaks. I mean, I just work straight through. I don't know. I'm not like the Fort Leonard Wood boys that come over here and help me and had to take a break every 5 minutes. America's finest. Anyway, I just work straight through. So it did get me a little bit tired, I got to tell you, because those blocks are heavy. They're not light. And you probably saw there that the first course you take a lot of time with, you're laying it level. As long as, and it may look like I'm laying it right on dirt, but that's not dirt. It was all compacted gravel in there, and I scraped the gravel right off the county road, because the county road guys, when they blade the road, they blade it like this, and the extra gravel goes off to the side. It's out on the edge, out on the shoulder, it's just in a big long row of pile. So I just go through and scoop that up and put that down and then compact it. So it was all on top of gravel. And then as you saw there, I backfilled it with creek gravel, and that creek gravel is really good stuff, because it's everything from the finest sand all the way up to rocks this big. And when you put that down, and I put it on the inside of all the block too, down through all the holes, and therefore it locks it in place. You couldn't move one of those blocks if your life depended on it. I mean, by hand you couldn't do it. Obviously, with a tractor you could move it, but anyway, it's very, very, very solid wall. And regarding the sound, as I made the comment there, I just muted the sound like I do in all my videos. Anytime I speed up video, I always mute the sound on every video you've ever seen on my channel. I've always muted the sound. So that kind of surprised me that everybody was taken back on that. But probably the reason is because I didn't fill that dead space with music like I normally do. Because I didn't have time. I mean, these files are huge. These are just gigantic files. You have no idea. And it took forever just to copy them. And, I worked till 11:15, and now we're live at 1. So you got what you got. It's just the way it is. But it really was surprising the way this one started. Like there's only one comment before we went live, on my end anyway. That's the way it looked. So it really threw me for a loop, even if we were even live. I wasn't sure. So it says we got 119 viewers now. And let's see. Rod Wintler says, funny, but borderline. Okay. He's talking to David there. That was the first comment. And then I see after we went live, it looks like Preston Johnson was the first one in there. So I'm looking for question marks now. Rod Wintler says, Jerry, we had a full house and then they all went away. Well, I don't know what happened, but it was not the normal start to my normal vlog. I can tell you that. Michael Dry says, we are up. David Tharp, I made 3 or 4 myself. I guess he's talking about comments. David Sutter, we're here, Jerry. Carry on. Bill Webb, good afternoon, Jerry. Good afternoon. David Tharp, I made a chicken salad last night. Evidently, they prefer grain. Yeah, I kind of think they do. But believe it or not, Sue actually does cut up her salads. She actually buys a cheap salad at Walmart, cuts it up, and feeds it to her ducks and her chickens. And they eat it. They love it. Don't ask me. Let's see. Garland Edmondson, I'm here loud and clear. Good. Ronald Todd, Jerry, do you guys and girl play if you don't love God, you don't love your neighbor? If you don't love your neighbor, you don't love God, I think is the way the song goes. And I think I know who wrote that song, but I'm not sure. I think that was written by Galen Harper. He's a Missouri boy, and I know Rhonda Vincent does it. I might have the wrong person, but I think it was written by a Missouri person. I could be wrong on that. I mean, I don't know. I may have my signals twisted on that part of it, but it seemed like I remember somebody at my old house before we moved down here to the farm. I remember standing out in the driveway and talking to a guy that I thought wrote that song, and I thought it was Galen Harper. But anyway, we don't do it, unfortunately, no. Ronald Todd, just lost audio. Okay, well, that's what I was telling you about. Gino Hitch, hi, Jerry, texted 30 minutes ago, and it all went away. I asked if you had any new shingles. Nope, haven't had time to get on that part yet, but I should be getting back on that maybe tomorrow, possibly. You just never know. Newton horn, bow horn, on 3 guitars, 1 setup, 1 tuning key repair, and 1 classical guitar with potholes on the fretboard. Yeah, I've had a lot of them with potholes on the fretboard, a whole lot of them. Those sharp fingernails, especially the old men, their fingernails, when they grip those necks, those fingernails dig those holes. You think it's the strings wearing the holes, but it's the fingernails. Because if you look real close, they're always just above the string that you would be noting. But anyway, cut your fingernails, people, and then single-edged razor blades, how I got rid of them, I would just scrape them, and you have to blend everything. It's kind of like when you're taping drywall mud. You just kind of have to feather it out, and that's what you do. And a lot of times you almost have to pull the frets and blend it that way because they're so bad. And then if they're really bad, then sometimes you just got to fill them, and it looks like heck, but that's about the only option you got unless you want to replace the whole fingerboard. Bill Rhodes, good afternoon, and good afternoon back. Let's see. David Tharp, hey, Jerry, we know what kind of shirt you like, but be careful. I know a guy that was thrown out of the coffee club by wearing a T-shirt. Let him try. Just let him try. A T-shirt. I get it. I got that one. I actually did. Simon Journey says, lost sound. Yeah, well, that's what I was telling you about. Rod Wintler, Jerry, we lost audio when you went to the speed up. Yeah, that's exactly how every video I've ever done works. Every video I've ever sped up always drops the audio. The reason is because it sounds like, I mean, like the motor that was running would go, and so it sounds pretty annoying, so I just cut it out. But I usually fill it with music. Well, I didn't have that option today. I didn't have enough time. Scott Roberts, hey Jerry, I've got a great tip for you to clean out the slot on the micro SD card. Works great. An emery board file for your fingernails. Camera is still glitchy, but it got it working again. Yeah, I guess that could work. It would probably be neat if you used the real fine emery board. They do make them in different grits, and if you had the real fine one, that would probably be a good idea. Eddie D, it was like that on my end too, Jerry. Didn't see any comments for about 20 seconds or so, then started one at a time. I don't know what happened with everything this morning. I don't have any control over that part of it. I literally just start my vlog like, I don't know, I just click a button and it says you're live, and I have nothing to do with it. Up to that point, for sure, I have nothing to do with it. And I start it the same way every single time. 678 times now that I've started it that way. And so I can't explain it. I have no idea. David Tharp, I heard that once after Helen Keller was very angry and let fly some bad words, her parents washed her hand with soap. Well, that's probably a good thing to do. Let's see. Sky Roberts, I think Jerry is having too much fun running equipment and that video camera. Well, I don't know if I'd call it fun, but it's definitely I'm knocking things off of my to-do list. That's for darn sure. Incidentally, side note, just made me think of it, is I'm down to 202 pounds. So that's better. I was at 215 as a high this year, so 202 is pretty good. I'm halfway to my goal. I need to lose about another 12 pounds to get down to my 190. And really, 190 is still a little heavy. I wouldn't mind getting down to 185, but I'll be real tickled if I get to 190. Ronald Todd just got audio back. Yep. And Mary M. explains there that I had it on mute, and yes, I did. Newton Horn, Bowhorn, I already read that. Didn't I read that once? I thought I did. Or maybe was that posted twice? Yeah, it is. Okay. So anyway, it says, wish me luck at the end on that one. And I would say good luck to you, because I know what that's like. Let's see. Eddie Turner, I haven't lost any comments. Okay. Scott Roberts, where did Jerry go? Must have taken a bathroom break. That was posted during that video, and I mean, I'm always gone whenever the video's on, so I don't know what that meant. Tom Armstrong says, the wall's looking awesome. Well, thank you. I'm tickled that it's done, really. I mean, I got to go to the store and get 6 more block, or maybe 7 block, I don't know. But then it's finished, and I don't have to deal with that anymore. David Tharp, Jerry, after watching you do all the work, I'm going to have to go take a nap. Well, guess what? I'm going to join you, because I think that's what I'm going to do this afternoon is take a nap first. Maybe go out and metal detect for an hour or so, and then get ready for tonight's concert. We will be playing with the full band this evening. And I passed on the couple of requests that Gary had that someone had made. I think Just in an Instant is one of them. And he had another request from the previous week or the previous month that we were there or something. Anyway, or maybe it was the night he was here live with Patty. Anyway, he's going to do that request plus Just in an Instant. I'm going to do Help Is on the Way. I'll do that one. And anything else that anybody wants me to do, I'll give it a shot. Preston Johnson, the wall looks amazing. Anyone that can lay that many blocks on a cup of nuts, a handful of popcorn, Superman, great job. Yeah, and the truth is, I'm still eating the same exact way. I haven't changed anything. It's been about a month now. And like I said, I think you could leave me out in the desert. I don't think my weight would be affected after a month. I think you could come back, I'd look the same. That's the way it feels, because I'm not eating anything. It's crazy. And Sue's going like, how are you doing it? And it's really not bothering me much. Honestly, it's not. I'm pretty sure I would be really good, like in two instances. I'm pretty sure that I would be the exception that could cross the desert without much water or anything, because I rarely drink water. I know everybody's just constantly chugging water, and I don't take water with me when I do stuff like that. I just work and get it done. And the other where I think I would be good would be going up Mount Everest. I really think that I wouldn't even need oxygen. I could probably be totally wrong, but like I said, when we were out in those high altitudes out in Wyoming, around Yellowstone and all that, everybody was complaining they couldn't breathe. The air was thin, and I was thinking it was the best air I've ever breathed in my life, And like literally, I could have run a marathon. I seriously could have, and I'm not making that up. And I basically did, because I walked. It was about 3 miles back and forth down these cutbacks down to where this waterfall was, and I walked that whole thing and never sat down once, walked all the way down like 600 vertical feet, but it was like 3 miles of back and forth trails. And then I walked all the way back up and never sat down once, never took a break, and wasn't out of breath. Didn't bother me at all. And, I have told you about my genetic defects, that somehow or another I got lucky and got gigantic lungs. I don't know how I did that. It's just part of the package. And because when they tested our lung capacity, I was like more than double the next biggest lung capacity. More than double. I mean, like the big football player guys, they could do like 2 bowls of water, displacing it with holding their breath. I could displace like 4 with no problem. And so I think those are 2 instances where I would probably really shine, would be out in the desert and climbing Mount Everest. But I don't know that for sure. It just seems like it, because there's something about my system that's just different than everybody else. Just like this not eating thing. I don't know too many people that could eat as little as I'm eating for the last month and not feel hungry. I don't even feel hungry. It's really weird. It's spooky weird. It's just weird. I don't know how to explain it. Simon Jardine, when you use something that hydraulically lifts things, do you need to drop the bucket forks whenever to ground when you're finished? If left up, will that put strain on the machine? Typically, I always do put everything on the ground, yes. They will leak off. Most hydraulics are not, they should be, but they're not usually, especially once they get worn in and old. Most of them won't hold the bucket up in the air anyway. You come back 2 hours later and it's dropped maybe halfway down or maybe all the way down, depending on how much it's leaking. So I typically always set everything on the ground whenever I'm done with it. Now, having said that, after if you guys remember, when I first got that little skid steer, I was aggravated because that little bucket, especially the tilt part of the bucket, you got your up and down, and then you got the bucket tilt. Well, that tilt, I would lift it up like that when you'd even with nothing in it, it would just creep back down like that. And it would do it pretty fast. You didn't have to wait 5 minutes. It would, especially if you had a load in it, it would just go like that. You couldn't even drive 5 feet and you'd have to be picking it back up. Well, I took all that apart and put new seals in that, and that sucker is the one thing that holds perfect now. Plus, I had to hone it out. It had a scratch in it from the factory on the inside. On that, the inside of a cylinder is like a mirror. I mean, it literally is like a mirror. It's just shiny. Well, when I looked down inside there after I took it apart, you could see one long scratch about an inch long, and right at the end of that scratch, it had a curl, a curl of metal. So I took a regular engine hone, went in there and honed the whole thing. And it's not as shiny as a mirror, but, if you cross-hatch that, it works pretty good. So that's what I did. I cross-hatched it, put new seals in it, and that sucker holds like a brick. I mean, like it does not move at all anymore. So I was really tickled that I fixed that. But otherwise, yeah, you should. I think it's just good practice to put everything on the ground and leave it that way until you start it again. Eddie D, Jerry, the pond looks almost perfect round in the video. The wall looks really good. Nice design. Yeah, the pond is pretty round. This whole water wheel project, to me, this is all the water wheel project. I raised the level of the pond. That was the first thing I did. I moved the spillway over. But something you guys didn't see years ago, before I even built the metal building, and I've told you about this once at least before, maybe twice, that pond dam, it had to be done by Bob. I mean, literally, I can't think of anybody else that would have done this. I mean, because it just is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. Water, the one thing about water is that it seeks level. I mean, it's going to be level no matter what you do to it. And if it's not level, well, then it runs down and runs off, But if it's in a pond, it's going to be level, right? It's not going to be high on one end or it's level. Well, whoever built that pond dam, and I guess it was Bob, that would be my guess, it was like 8 feet higher on one end. It looked like a coliseum or something, or like some kind of a racetrack where how it would go up on the ends where you go around. It was like 8 feet high on that one end, on the creek end where I put my spillway. It was like 8 feet, and then it came down on both sides, and it was like 8 feet high. Why would you do that? The dumbest thing I've ever seen on anything like that I've ever seen. The dumbest thing I've ever seen. So I took all of that dirt and moved it over because when I was going to build that big metal building, I needed a good flat area. So I took all that dirt out there and flattened out that hill, because that hill used to slope all the way to the creek. So I took all that dirt and filled it in there and leveled out the pad to build my metal building. And I didn't affect the level of the pond at all. The dumbest thing I've ever seen. I can't even imagine why somebody would do something that stupid. Just completely stupid. Unless they just needed someplace to pile some dirt, and that's where they pile it. I don't have any idea why they did that. And it really is. Some of the things you see people do, you just scratch your head and wonder. Rod Wentler, is tonight a jam? Yes, tonight is. That's what I was talking about. We're going to have our band here tonight. G&P Old Marine Shop. Hi, Jerry. Is the Home Depot black lacquer in a can good for touching up lacquer on an electric guitar? Go to fill a crack and touch some. I would think so. Yeah, I would think that would just be fine. As long as it is lacquer, I would assume if it says lacquer on the can, I would say for sure that would work. Let's see. Gino Hitch. Hey, Jerry, can you remember the last time you had to punch someone? Not really. I'd have to go, I think I had to go all the way back to school, all the way back to high school or junior high. I told that story once before too, where, that when I first moved to that, I moved from from a Parkway school district, which was kind of a rich school district. I mean, most of the people that went to Parkway were well-off type people. Well, we just happened to live in the middle of all that in a rented old farmhouse. but I got the benefit of going to school with all those rich kids pretty much. And there was rich kids all around my neighborhood and everything. Like I've told that before, how, the one neighbor had indoor-outdoor swimming pool. You swim through a tunnel to go outside. And, that one guy had like an 8-car garage. And another one had like 2 tennis courts. And Mr. Switzer of Switzer's Licorice lived down the street. And the guy who invented AstroTurf lived down the street. So we lived right in the middle of all these rich people. So I went to this rich school. Well, not during my time there all the way through 7th grade, I went to that rich school. Well, I never, not one single time ever, not ever, saw a fight. I didn't even know kids did that. I know it seems stupid, but I didn't even know there was such thing as a fist fight at school like that. Never saw one. Never even had a hint of one. Well, the very first day I went to Rockwood, I didn't know anybody, of course. It was my very first day, and I was it was toward the end of 7th grade. I walk into my English class, and out of the blue, somebody punches me right square in the face. I mean, just like as I'm walking through the door. Well, it startled me. It didn't knock me down. It could have. So I didn't know what to do. I just looked at him and just walked over and sat down. Well, then everybody was picking on me after that, and they were beating up on me and everything, and I didn't fight back. I just didn't know to do that. Well, that summer, we had to haul a lot of hay that summer, and I made sure I was right in the middle of all of it. I was throwing bales higher than anybody, up on the truck and stuff, and I was really basically pumping iron. Well, that next year back at school, I pretty much cleaned house. I just let them, anybody that gave me anything, I pretty much gave them twice as much right back. And the last time I remember punching anybody was the gym bag incident, where I walked into the front door of the school, and there was this crowd of kids around, and there was this bully beating up my next door neighbor with a gym bag. He was just beating him over the head with this gym bag. I went right straight through that crowd. I grabbed that gym bag, turned that kid around, smacked him in the mouth, and knocked him clear down. And he got up with a knife, and I'm going to cut you, man. I said, come on, just come on. He didn't come on, and he backed off. But that was the last time I remember. After you finally show a bully that you're going to fight, that's what, like this guy that was commenting a few days ago about he wouldn't fight, he wouldn't do this, he wouldn't do that. Well, I wouldn't either normally. I mean, but after you turn your cheek, if they don't take advantage of that, or if they do take advantage of it, depending on which way you look at it, then it's time to fight. And by God, I'll fight. So anyway, that's the last time I remember punching anybody. It was in school, believe it or not. Let's see. I don't know where that comment went. Oh, there it is. GNP Old Marine Shop. Any suggestions for blending black to black paint on a sunburst finish? No, not really. I really don't. I don't. I've always said I don't consider myself a finish expert. I really don't. I don't consider that at all as being one of my strong suits. I'd say you're on your own on that one unless somebody else has some good suggestions. But I don't think I have any real suggestions on that. Sorry. Scott Roberts, my goal was to lose 50 pounds by the end of the year. Only have 55 pounds to go now. Well, you're getting there. Just keep hanging there. That's your explanation about losing weight there reminds me of how you make $1 million in bluegrass. If you want to make $1 million in bluegrass, just start with 2 million and you no problem at all. Let's see. Eddie Turner, I even see repeated comments. Okay. Ronald Todd, Jerry, what's the chances of someone driving off the end of the wall? Well, I would say as good as they feel like it. If they do, they do. I would say slim, but you never know. Somebody could do it. KRAA 512, Tommy Coley and Shortly Sullivan wrote that song according to the web. Okay. Well, maybe so. Sometimes, though, I've seen lots of cases where the web was wrong on who wrote what song. That is black and white, I can tell you that for sure. I've seen countless times where I know who wrote a song, and it says somebody else. So, maybe. Maybe you're right on that, but maybe you're not. Scott Roberts, Jerry, with all of your anomalies, maybe you should have run off and joined the circus when you were young. Well, I definitely have a bunch of weird ones. And I've told you about my legs, how strong they are too. And I didn't do anything to make them that way, but like pushing, I'm just normal. I mean, like average on, like compared to the other kids at school, I was just average on pushing weights, pushing this way. In fact, I would say I was below average, to be honest with you. I mean, like a lot of them could push 300-400 pounds that way and no problem at all. I could do some. I mean, I'd get close to that, but I couldn't do as much as some of them could. But if you did it the other way and you sit on the end of the bench and you put the weight across your ankles, and now you have to straighten your legs out and lift the load with your ankles, I was off the charts on that. I mean, nobody could do what I could do on that. I mean, like all the weight that was on the weight machine, I could lift that way. And then the coach saw that and he's going, there's no way you can lift all that. And I said, yeah, I can. I'll show you. So I lifted the whole thing and he's going, oh my gosh. He couldn't believe it. And I said, Coach, I'm telling you, if you sat on there, I can lift it still. He's going, there's no way. I weigh 200 pounds. I said, you sit on there, I guarantee you I can lift it. And he sat on top of all of that weight and I lifted it and threw him back in my lap. I don't know why I'm super strong that way, but it is. It's super strong. It's not like semi-strong. It's just, I have so many weird anomalies, like these crazy long fingers. It's just, I'm a genetic defect. Most of it's good. I mean, like the night blindness is not so great. The color blindness is not so great. The taste is not so great. But, it's not horrible either. It's not like some poor kids that were born with these genetic defects, but pretty much as far as I'm concerned, I'm a walking genetic defect. Scott Roberts, Jerry, Wade Hampton. Good afternoon, everyone, and Jerry. I had cataract surgery in my left eye and went from only reading the big E to reading the line smaller than 20/20 line. I have the right eye fixed next week. Awesome. That is just awesome. I'm so proud or happy for you, and that's just awesome. My daughter had that LASIK surgery, I don't know, probably 10 years ago now, and she's loves it. I mean, she doesn't wear glasses anymore, and she's done really well with it. But that's great news, Wade. GMP Old Marine Shop. Maybe you sleepwalk and pig out in the kitchen every night not knowing it. Yeah. Well, I'm at least still losing weight, so I don't think that's the case. David Tharp, looking forward to the jam tonight. Well, good. I am too. Scott Roberts, so you had no desire to punch out Bob. Oh, well, desire? You didn't ask about desire. You said when was the last time, or the other person did. When was the last time I actually punched somebody? No, I had plenty of desire to punch old Bob, trust me. Gary Boer, hey, Jerry. Well, good to see you, Gary. Rod Wintler, Jerry, regarding the fighting, I am reminded of the World War II song, Praise the Lord and Pass the Ammunition. Yeah. Well, I'm the last guy to start a fight, and the last guy, something like that. But I mean, there's a point where you got to fight. I mean, I don't care who you are. You either fight or you turn tail and run. And if you want to turn tail and run, sometimes that's the right thing to do. But yeah, if I'm pushed into the corner, by gosh, I'm coming out fighting. Eddie Turner, there are 80 plus comments right now. I was first, NJIE second, and David Tharp was third. Okay. Newton Horn, some writers sell their songs and lose credit. Willie Nelson sold Family Bible. Yeah, that's true too. That is true too. Yeah, what did he sell that for? I forgot now, but he's told what he sold that for. It was very little money, 100, 500, something like that, considering what the song is made, It was very little money. But, I don't know why I think a friend of mine wrote that song. It might not have been that song, but it was a song that Doyle or Rhonda was going to record. That I remember distinctly having a conversation in my driveway one evening with this fellow that wrote a popular song. And I thought it was that one, but it might not have been. It was a long time. It was 30 years ago, at least probably, when I was having that conversation. But anyway, neither here nor there. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sticking with me. 130 viewers right now. Sorry about all the weird confusion at the start of it, but I didn't have anything to do with it. It just started completely different than normal. Scott Roberts had another comment. Yeah, Newton, so did John Fogerty, Hoyt Axton. Those were publishing rights, though. Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't really have much of a comment on that, but I do know that the internet is not always your best source for who wrote a song. It really does pop up with a lot of weird stuff. Chubby Weiss gave away Orange Blossom Special. Thumbs up, everybody. According to David, do that. I will see you this evening with a concert. Thank you for being here.